We will begin with the media briefing. I'll hand over to the spokespersons.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. The first thing that we need to deal with is to report on the deliberations about the candidates that we interviewed this afternoon or this day today. As you know, we interviewed 6 candidates. The JSC interviewed 6 candidates, and following deliberation to fill 3 vacancies. And following deliberations, we agreed on 3 candidates that we will recommend to the president to appoint. And these candidates that will be recommended to the president is Judge Elizabeth Dorothy Bartman, and then Judge Philip Coppin, and Judge Petros Anulas Kuhn to be appointed to the Supreme Court of Appeal. That concludes our announcement. And then we obviously have to report to you about our meeting today, the private meeting of the JSC. But we also recognize that there are issues of interest that are in the public domain that you would probably want to hear something from us about. Whether we have the right answers for you is a different question. To start off with the private meeting, it's really just a couple of things that we should mention to you. You know that previously the JSC was seized with the matter of a anti-sexual harassment policy for the judiciary. You would know that among the last things that the former Chief Justice Raymond Zondo did was to have that come into effect, given effect. And so we now do have an anti-sexual harassment policy for the judiciary, which is effective, and the Chief Justice Maya is responsible for its implementation. The second issue that we dealt with, which was also a serving item on our agenda, continuing item on the agenda, was an update on amendments to the JSC Act to increase the capacity of the Judicial Conduct Committee. You know there's a perennial complaint about how long complaints that are filed with the JSC, how long they take to resolve. And you know that we've explained in the past that it's a limited capacity issue. The people that sit on the JCC are judges that are serving. So in addition to doing their everyday jobs on the bench, they get invited to, or requested rather, to sit on the JCC to deal with these matters. Now, in recognition of the problem that is caused by delays in resolving complaints and disciplinary matters, the JSC has been discussing amendments to the Act with the department, amendments to the Act to capacitate the JCC so that more judges become available for that. That is still being dealt with in the department. We have been assured, the JSC has been assured by the minister that this will serve in the proposed amendments will serve in the 7th administration to pass. The next issue that you would be interested in is a report on our litigation report. As you know, there is a pending matter between FUL, Freedom Under Law, and the JSC, which arose from the last round of interviews for the April round of interviews for the SCA. The FUL brought an application by way of what we normally call Part A and Part B. You would know that Part A has been resolved by agreement, and in May we conducted further interviews for the SCA and candidates were appointed. We have Part B still outstanding, and it is in the process. It's a pending matter. It is still to be resolved. A second matter of litigation is that this morning, close to 12 midnight rather, let me say last night, we received an application to interdict the JSC from interviewing one of the Gauteng candidates, and that matter is set down for court tomorrow. And we have appointed a legal team to look at that. The JSC has decided to oppose the application on the basis that the candidate was shortlisted, was invited to come for an interview, and we will proceed to interview him unless we are interdicted. So there is that tomorrow. And lastly, from my list, and it's not a matter that was discussed by the JSC in its private meeting this morning, because it's something that developed in the course of the day, in fact, more specifically in the afternoon. And that is the matter that you're all aware of. It's the issue of the position of Dr. Hlophe. You are aware from, and we found out from you, the media, that Dr. Hlophe has resigned from the JSC. The JSC hasn't, we've had a discussion. The position is that we haven't yet received any notification from the Speaker of Parliament. The body that informs the JSC about designations and any changes. The JSC hasn't received anything, so all we know is what we've heard from you. And because we haven't heard anything from the Speaker, the JSC has decided that we'll continue with the business that we have gathered this week for, because as matters stand, we don't have anything that causes us to not proceed with the interviews. That is the sum of our briefing to you, and we're happy to answer relevant questions.
Okay, thank you. Can I ask, if you're going to ask a question, please use the conference mics. And then I will take Karen and then Kenny.
So if we can just get confirmation about Commissioner Julius Malema's absence from this session of interviews. There have been suggestions it was in protest to the decision not to postpone vis-a-vis the Mkhonto Wesizwe request. I don't know if you can comment on that. And then second of all, the JSC has, I think the courts have roundly rejected the MK's argument that the JSC would not be properly constituted if the former judge present was absent. And that seems to have been the consistent position of the JSC in your letter to Mkhonto Wesizwe. Does that remain your position? Do you have any fear, legally speaking, that you are not properly constituted at this point?
Thank you. Just to add to that, Commissioner Jesse and Advocate Balaway, it's Kenny from SABC News here. I just wanted to double check, should the Speaker of the National Assembly communicate that to you prior to the conclusion of these interviews, then what is the implication of that on these interviews? Can you continue with the rest that you have scheduled up until the 16th of October? Thanks.
Do you want me to take? Okay. All right. To start with Karen's question about Commissioner Malema. Commissioner Malema today hasn't informed the Chief Justice and therefore the JSC that he wasn't attending today, and whatever the reason is for him not attending. So, and I speak to you on the basis of what we normally do when we convene in a private meeting such as today. That's where you get a recordal of who's going to be present, who is absent. So there's a formal way of informing the Chief Justice and the JSC. That didn't happen. So we haven't, as matters stand today, the JSC did not receive any indication from Commissioner Malema that he will not be attending and what the reasons are for not attending. And then the second question, yes, about whether we are properly constituted. As matters stand, we we are as properly constituted as we were when the matter was, the application, MK Party's application was argued on Friday, which is that Dr. Hlophe still is a member of the commission because he was designated. You had that whole argument that was made in court. So the position of the JSC, when we commenced this morning, the position remained what it was on Friday, that we communicated, in fact, last week when we communicated that we would continue with the interviews after the meeting decided to refuse the request for a postponement. So the position indeed is still that we are properly constituted, nothing has changed, and we will carry on with the scheduled interviews for the week. Kabi, you asked the question, should the speaker communicate with us? What do? We will urgently call a meeting of the JSC overnight to consider our position. And look, our guide is the Constitution and the JSC Act, and both documents do deal with matters of a commissioner not being there because they've ceased being a commissioner, and we will be guided by that. But we didn't make a decision. The JSC decided that it's premature at this point to make a decision. We don't have anything from the speaker, and so we will carry on as originally planned.
Are there any other questions? Okay. Alison?
Thank you so much. Good evening, Commissioners. Could you give us the identity of the candidate where the application to interdict you from interviewing him? Can you tell us who that is?
I'll tell you what, the papers do not cite him as a party. So what they've done is the respondent in that application is the JSC, which means he hasn't been served with the papers. And if I mentioned, it's a candidate for the Gauteng division. And I think it would not be proper that he hears through the media for the first time that there's an application to interdict his interview. Well, I think what is important to mention, and you probably have made it out from the way that I've answered you, is that it's not him that they are seeking to to interdict so that he doesn't participate. Yeah, it is the JSC. They're saying we can't interview him. And so I think let me rather at this point not mention his name, just because I think it would be inappropriate that he hears from the media that is the subject of an application to interdict.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
All right. This is, you mean tomorrow's interdict application? Yes. Well, I guess we can share this with you. The candidate presided in a criminal matter, and the applicant is an unhappy convicted and sentenced person from that matter, and they've made all sorts of allegations, including laying a complaint with the JSC against the judge because they were not happy with the outcome of the matter. The matter is serving before. I think we can confirm to you that complaint that has been lodged is being processed by the JCC. It's been referred to the JCC to look at. It is pending, and the candidate will be presented to the candidate to give him a chance to comment if he wishes to comment about it. Yeah, but it's an unhappy accused convicted person that has complained about the outcome of the matter. Very much so, yes.
Alison?
This may not be something that you're aware of, but the Judicial Conduct Tribunal this morning we were going to hear further directions on how the Mbenenge matter would be run. I'm not sure if you can tell us anything about it at this stage?
We have no idea because we were locked in here the whole day, so I don't know any more than you know.
Okay. If we have no more questions, then we can close the media briefing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your patience.